Welcome in, everybody, to another edition of The Rundown. The dynamic duo is back in action. Brandon Work, Jack Heckman giving you the good stuff here in CSAA Sports. And today, we, of course, in the middle of summer and 80-degree heat, we're going to cool you off a little bit naturally. We got a great hockey-centered episode for you. We will get to a special interview. Big Rapids native Brad Marek, now NHL man himself, Brad Marek, will be joining us here on the show for an interview momentarily. And then stick around. We got a whole breakdown for you as far as area teams, especially Big Rapids last year's results, and especially what is upcoming here for the season. Who else but to talk to the man himself, fresh off vacation, that covered this team, and Jack Heckman. Jack, first of all, what's going on, my man?
Not a whole lot, not a whole lot. Just excited to be back.
Excited to be back indeed. Excited to have you back and the fans back. Appreciate all the love that we've had. Be sure to subscribe if you're with us here on Big Rapids Daily News on YouTube. If you're listening live with us on WBRN via 1077 FM at 3:30 p.m., welcome in as well. And we got a great show for you here indeed. Before we get to the interview with Brad Marek, big thanks goes out to Denny's Muffler and Brakes, a proud sponsor of The Rundown. They can help you with an assortment of great things to help you and your vehicle run smoothly, whether you need an oil change, some general auto repair, if you need tire repair, so much more. Be sure to give them a call, 231-796-6335. That's 231-796-6335. Don't get a second six in there. That's where you're going to get it messed up. So be sure to give them a call. Great partners with us here on State Street in Big Rapids. So without further ado, we'll send you the interview room with the NHL man himself, Brad Marek. Now joining us here in the interview room, we have a very special guest, the newest man at the NHL level with the Minnesota Wild, former Big Rapids native and Fair State Bulldog Brad Marek joining us here. Brad, thank you for joining us here on the show.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Absolutely. And I know we've had you on for some interviews, but this one seems to be the biggest one we've had yet, as you have just officially signed your 1 year with the Minnesota Wild. I mean, talk to me about how great that feels, as a kid that wanted to go to the NHL. That was the dream all along. You took some jumps and some chances along the way that were considered, maybe aggressive and unorthodox, but now it's finally paid off. How does it feel to be able to sign your name on that paper and be a part of the NHL?
Yeah, it was definitely a dream come true. Like you said, a lot of obstacles and a lot of things we had to jump through, whether it be me, coaches, families, and some people said, "What's the rush?" And battled through all sorts of stuff, whether it be injuries and leaving school early. But being able to do it finally is a dream come true and a step in the right direction.
Absolutely. And you've spent some time now in the system, if you will, with the AHL and some other levels. Just talk about that experience, what you've been able to learn, not only personally within your own game on the ice, but as well the things off the ice that you've been able to really work on and be able to play professional hockey, which is a tough thing to do last time we chatted.
Yeah, definitely having the second year of experience down now in my belt is great, and you learn how to become a pro, whether it be in the summer in the gym or staying on the ice as much as you can, but also getting that time away from the rink because it's so important to kind of clear your head and get a nice reset, But off the ice, that's what I'd have to say, and on the ice, it was good to know like how my game transcended from even my first year to my second year, and what I need to do differently to continue to grow at the professional level.
Absolutely. And as I'm talking to you, you're a very busy man, and for good reason, back here at home running a youth hockey camp here in Big Rapids. Just talk about that experience, be able to give back to the youth as one that was once in their skates.
Yeah, and it's something that I've been passionate about for a long time now, and I knew I wanted to always give back to the community as much as I could because it's meant so much to me and in a smaller town in Big Rapids. But I'm just really looking forward to it. It starts here on Monday, and to be able to just give back's awesome. To see the kids that were in the same position I was growing up and being able to give them advice, but also just have a lot of fun. It's going to be a fun week with a lot of learning and a lot of growth and development, hopefully.
For sure. And looking at a lot of the young players, is there anything that you notice about the young campers as far as maybe where you were in the Skates a couple years ago compared to what you're seeing now? Has the game changed at all at the younger level, you think?
It's changed a lot, I think, even in this short amount of years. So many more people are so driven and hard on, weightlifting and mobility stretching and game awareness training, whether it be, stuff on a computer or stuff on the ice. Guys are taking a huge serious step, and it's just great for the game. Guys are going to be ready sooner. But I know we were just going out having fun, whether it be out on the pond in the wintertime or on the, roller rink or whatever, playing and just doing whatever we could on the ice. But these guys now are just so dialed in right away. And at such a young age, it's cool to see. But definitely need to continue having fun with it because that's, so important is that if you're not having fun, why are you doing it?
Absolutely. At the end of the day, it is a game and you got to enjoy it while you can. And especially for you going into this next step, being on the big stage with the big guys. Talk about who are you really looking forward to playing and especially under that coaching staff that you're really excited to be a part of with the Wild. I know we want you really in a winged wheel, but we'll settle for the Wild, at least for the time being.
Yeah, no, I mean, my time with the Wild organization already has been unbelievable. People reaching out, just hearing from them. And I know a couple guys that, have been up there and say it's just amazing and so many great things and so many great experiences that you can take from, say, Kirill Kaprizov or Eric Sinek. Like, there's so many guys you can look after or look up to, and they'll take you under their wing and kind of show you the ropes. So I'm just excited to get out there and learn from some of them and learn as much as I can from the coaching staff and see what I need to do to make that jump.
What excites you the most about being on the NHL level? I know obviously the anticipation to get to the level has been, a long time coming for you, but when you step out on the ice for the first time, what's really that thing that's going to make you go, man, I'm finally here. Let's do this.
Hopefully that first game, as many of my family can come and friends and people have supported me along the way. I think that's going to be one of the coolest things. But I don't know, just going out there against some of those guys I grew up watching, whether it be Crosby or McDavid or Ovechkin, like those guys, you grew up watching and kind of idolize them on the TV and watch them in your living room. But to be able to be on the ice and hopefully share it with them will be a dream come true.
Well, we're absolutely excited for you here. Brad, I got one more question for you. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Rundown. When it comes to, obviously, the next generation, right, whether it be your campers, whether it be fellow Cardinals that played in Big Rapids here in your hometown, or fellow Bulldogs that you once wore the sweater for, what is it especially that you would recommend to those guys that are aspiring to be in your skates on the NHL level, on the big stage later on in their careers?
Yeah, just keep at it. I mean, it doesn't come overnight. A lot of dedication, hard work. It takes a support system of people around you to get you to a higher level. And even if you don't, just keep putting your head down, going to work. Because I mean, it only going to work's only going to be better for you in the long run. And keeping your head down and getting after it's what's going to get you there. But having a good support of people, like we met in college, and now like we still are friends and stay in touch. And whenever we see each other, it's always good, say hi. So no, I think just embrace the people that are around you and cherish those memories, whether they be big or small.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Brad, for joining us. And we wish you the best of luck for Minnesota. And hopefully we'll catch a game here real soon.
Awesome. Thank you.
Big thanks to Brad for joining us on the show. Super excited. And I know, Jack, you especially probably very excited following this Big Rapids program. A lot of great players that have now made it into the college ranks, ready to continue to play well. And the man that really kind of started at the hometown kid, now getting on the big stage with the Minnesota Wild. Really great to see for the community, especially the hockey fans out here in Big Rapids.
Yeah, most definitely. It's huge, huge for a program, huge for a city, and huge even for an area. There's not a whole lot of hockey schools. Really, the closest school to us is Cadillac, and that's still, 45 minutes away, and that's the only rivalry. So it's pretty huge for the area to have someone like that.
Absolutely, and I'll be pre-ordering my Wild sweater probably very soon. But don't tell our Red Wings faithful. It's not personal, okay? Well, maybe it is at the end of the day. Big thanks to him for joining us. Big thanks as well before we get into our Big Rapids and area local hockey breakdown. Big thanks goes out to Eagle Village, a great partner with us here on the Rundown. If you want a job that impacts the lives of youth, be sure to apply. EagleVillage.org. Plenty of jobs available right now. Youth specialists, family therapists, interns, and more. You can find out more information on their mission as well as find opportunities. Once again, eaglevillage.org, Eagle Village, we're a potential source. So Jack, let's get right into it. You followed this team last year, 11 wins, 13 losses, as well as 3 ties. Obviously, that's something to take in consideration with hockey as well. There are ties, but overall, solid season. I would say, nonetheless, considerably, very similar to what we've seen in years past seasons. But they did a lot of great things as far as beating some very, very good teams along the way. But there were some, little head scratching losses here and there, a little bit up and down season. But overall, what was your opinion on how this season finished up for the Cardinals this past winter?
I mean, I think the team starting off very slow. It was a really slow start. You get to January, you go 7-1. This is a team that played tough teams in January. You played a Midland Dow team who was ranked inside the top 10 in Division Two at one point. I think the way the team came in and handled it, you're going to have a lot to handle this coming next season without a single returning defenseman. It's going to be a lot, but I think the way they handled last season was amazing. You got through some tough times, you played really good, and it's the first time they've had an even goal differential or better in a long time. This team was a team that really you haven't seen a whole lot of offense. This was a team that was led from offense between Wyatt Skira and Brody Osowski, 2 guys who got over 20 points. It was an exciting team to watch this season.
Absolutely. We'll talk about some key contributors from that team and some big wins, especially. I know St. Clair, that was a very exciting game, an OT winner for the Cardinals as well. Beating Catholic Central early on, I heard was a big game, especially. And sweeping Cadillac, right? The rivalry in the local area, the 131 Cup, I believe it's called. And so those were very big wins for this program. Played some very tough teams along the way as well. The Sault Ste. Marie's of the world, playing a lot of those really, really good clubs. And especially at the end of the season, getting a massive, massive win over Manistee in that early regional game, but then running into one of the best teams in the region, if not the state, in East Grand Rapids. So overall, a lot of really good things that we saw this year, Jack. And based on what we've seen with personnel, with roster, there's quite a bit of this team coming back next year that should bring a lot of excitement entering this next season.
Yeah, most definitely. This offense, it's going to be high powered again. You lose a lot defensively, but an offense, if this team can go out, you have an even goal differential last year. You scored 77 goals. You're sitting just around, I believe, just under or over the 3 goal per game mark. And when you have a goalie like Nick Grindel, that was enough to win a lot of these games. And like you said, you sweep Cadillac. And the thing is, when they played Petoskey, you win 3-0. That game completely turned this season around. Petoskey was a team that was a lot better, and they play in a very easy regional, and their game after the regional, you have Alpena in the other regional. Those are 2 very easy regions, and that's the thing that the Cardinals end up having to struggle with is you end up getting seated in a region with East Grand Rapids, Grand Rapids Catholic Central, and Grand Rapids Christian. It's just a very tough region to go out and win. But I think this team went out, they won quality games, you played quality opponents, you kept it close in a lot of games. There's some games that are obviously highlights. Caledonia lost 6-0. That's one of the best teams of Division Two. You lost a game 1-2 versus Genesee, you should have won. Jeffers, you lost 6-0. Jeffers is going to be the best team in the state next year in Division Three, or if not the best, they'll be top 3 team in the state. But Divine Child, that's a private school down there in the Detroit area that's Aiden Hutchinson went to school there. That is a great school that's produced a whole lot of athletes. And you said it was Sault Ste. Marie. Sault Ste. Marie is the definition of one of the hockey schools in the state of Michigan. They're up there in, one of the more historic programs in the entire state. This is a team that carried their schedule very well and played amazing this season.
Absolutely. You highlighted some key games. We'll highlight some key players as well. Who do you think were really some standouts this past season, as well as guys maybe that you didn't see a lot of on the ice this last year, but are going to be very relied on reloading for this team this next year?
I mean, I think Brody Osowski, he's a all-state second team division, or Division Two second team, I should say. And Wyatt Skira, he's coming out. He's, playing with a great offensive aggression. He's up there. He's playing. This will be his 4th year. Same with Brody Osowski. But Wyatt Skira is up on the all-time points leaders in the entire school's history. He's got over, I think he's about 70 points right now. So he could get to that 100-point mark next season, which would be historic for him. You're losing, Olave Lindbaum and Tavi Toivonen. Like I said, you're losing all 6 defensemen. That's 6 defensemen that you're losing, and you have a fresh, clean slate of defensemen. There's a couple guys who you have that could play defense, but it's going back. You got Aiden Smith and Freddie Ortiz. Those are going to be huge guys who are going to come back, and those guys can come out. They can get points for this team. But I think Jake Strokridge is a guy who flies under the radar on this team. He's a guy who can come out, he can get assists, and if he's put on the right line, that's the thing, that if the Cardinals can get the right lines at the beginning of the season and they stick with them, that's something that's going to mesh, and this team can scheme and go well and go flying through into February.
Yeah, it'll be very exciting to see how those guys do. And obviously, some names that we haven't even mentioned because it's going to be a loaded roster by the time we get towards the season. And right now, don't have a full schedule yet as far as games, right? There's still time to fill some slots, but some notable games that have been listed for the Cardinals so far. TC West, they'll be playing at home once again. They'll be going to Cadillac, of course, and then they will also be at home against Traverse City Central and Gladwin. Those are the games right now that we know of as far as this next season. But still a lot of time for Coach Blashill to iron things out on the schedule. And obviously, with the roster that he has in mind, how aggressive does he go, especially in the regular season, trying to prepare this team for a postseason run? But it should be very exciting indeed to follow along with this team as well as maybe some other area teams, right? Cadillac will be a team that we'll obviously be watching out for, a team that overall didn't do bad last year, definitely could have showed some improvements, but they always seem to find some athletes there as well as some other local teams. We'll be looking out for Grand Rapids as well. Obviously, those teams a little bit further away, but it'll be very interesting to see how the Vikings do next year, considering, maybe a little bit of a subpar year for their consideration last year.
Yeah, most definitely. Cadillac's got to figure some things out. They're a team last year that, it's a rivalry with Big Rapids. Watching the two games, they're a team that really struggled. Big Rapids was able to hem them in that zone. They couldn't do anything. They couldn't get the puck out of the zone. They got a couple of goals where they were able to go down the ice and score quick. But that's really it. Big Rapids was able to control those games, and that's just how dominant this Big Rapids team is. And Cadillac's really got to flip the script this next season. It's going to be a huge season for Cadillac and seeing what they can do this next season.
Pivotal one indeed, and we can't wait to follow along with it here on the rundown. If you're watching us live or listening, thank you so much for tuning in, as this will be the conclusion of the episode. We appreciate you tuning in. Be sure to be back here same time, same place you're watching or listening next week, as we'll have great stuff for you here with our Big Rapids Media Sports. Jack, anything else to add before we close up?
It's an exciting team. There's a lot of holes on this team, but I think this team can easily fix those with a couple position changes. And like I said, if you get those lines going those first couple games, and this is a team that struggled at the beginning of last season. You had 2 wins after Christmas, or going two into the Christmas break, and then after that, you really hit the gas pedal, going 7-1 in January. But if they find the zones out in the beginning of the season, this is a team that can easily win 10 to 15 games. And without a doubt, I think they're going to do it. But it's a matter of fact if they can put it together and do it. This is a team that is one of the last year, I think, was the most talented team this team's had since they went on their state quarterfinal, state championship runs. This is a huge talented team, but it's all a matter of fact of if and when they put it together.
We certainly can't wait to see. We'll follow along as well with this team going into the winter, as well as on BigRapidsDailyNews.com. For Brandon Wirt, Jack Heckman, we'll see you later, everybody. We'll send you back to your regular scheduled programming on Big Rapids Daily News and WBRN.